The bus wheezed, a tired beast spitting me out into the belly of Trenton. The air hit me first. It was a biting cold, a stark contrast to the romanticized image I'd conjured. This wasn't the land of opportunity, it was the city that swallowed dreams. The sky was a bruised grey, mirroring the grim facades of buildings that seemed to stretch endlessly. A damp chill settled deep in my bones, a precursor to the winter that promised to be even more unforgiving. The bus station was a symphony of despair. The air hung heavy with the stench of stale cigarettes and desperation. Faces, etched with hardship and fatigue, blended into the dreary background. A cacophony of honking horns and distant sirens provided an unwelcome soundtrack to my arrival. This was my fresh start, a blank page. But all I saw was a city as cold and hard as the steel bars that adorned its windows. I clutched my meager belongings, the weight of my dreams a heavier burden. The city lights, blurred by the falling snow, mocked my naive hopes. This wasn't the warm embrace I'd envisioned. It was a cold, hard slap of reality, the kind that leaves you breathless and disoriented, unsure of which way to turn. Days blurred into nights, each one colder, each one more desperate than the last. The streets of Trenton became my unwelcome home, a concrete labyrinth with no exit in sight. Every corner I turned, every underpass I sought refuge in only deepened my sense of despair. The city had a pulse, but it didn't beat for me. It was a heartless rhythm, indifferent to my struggle. Buildings, once symbols of ambition, now loomed like menacing giants. Their shadows stretched long and cold with the setting sun, swallowing the last vestiges of daylight. The biting wind seemed to carry whispers of broken dreams, of lives gone astray. Each gust was a fresh assault, a reminder of my vulnerability. I walked until my feet ached, my stomach gnawing with hunger. The city's indifference was palpable, a suffocating presence. Shop windows, dressed for the holidays, mocked my empty pockets. The aroma of food, tantalizing and out of reach, intensified my despair. Faces, weathered and hardened, passed me by. Their eyes, glazed over with their own struggles, registered my existence but not my humanity. I was invisible, a ghost haunting the streets I desperately tried to call home. Every so often, a flicker of pity, a fleeting moment of recognition would momentarily break through the indifference. But it was always gone as quickly as it appeared, leaving me emptier than before. I'd hoped for kindness, for a helping hand in this unfamiliar city. But kindness was a luxury, a currency I didn't possess. I encountered more sneers than smiles, more judgment than compassion. Each encounter chipped away at my spirit, eroding the last vestiges of hope. Evenings were the worst. The city's indifference morphed into something more sinister. The darkness brought with it a palpable fear, a heightened awareness of my vulnerability. The laughter and chatter from brightly lit restaurants felt like a taunt, a constant reminder of my isolation. Finding shelter became my sole obsession. Each night was a desperate search for a sliver of warmth, a meager reprieve from the elements. Doorways, bus shelters, even the occasional cardboard box became my temporary sanctuaries. I huddled under the thin protection of discarded newspapers, seeking solace in their familiar rustle. But the cold always found me, seeping into my bones, a constant reminder of my precarious existence. Sleep, when it came, was fitful and light. Haunted by the fear of the unknown, I'd jolt awake at every sound. The rumble of a truck, the distant wail of a siren, the drunken laughter echoing down the street all served as unwelcome alarm clocks. The city never slept, and neither did I. The nights were long and unforgiving. Time lost all meaning, measured only by the rising and setting of the sun. Each dawn brought with it a fresh wave of despair, the crushing realization that I was no closer to escaping my predicament. Section 5. A glimmer in the shadows. One particularly brutal evening, as the snow fell in a blinding torrent, a figure emerged from the shadows. He moved with an easy confidence that belied the harshness of our surroundings. His name was Ras, and he carried himself with an air of authority that demanded respect, even in this desolate corner of the city. He saw me, really saw me, with a knowing glint in his eyes that both intrigued and unsettled me. He offered me a cigarette, the glowing ember a beacon in the darkness. I hesitated, my instincts screaming at me to run. But something in his demeanor, A strange mix of charisma and danger held me captive. He spoke with a quiet intensity, his words weaving a tapestry of understanding and opportunity. He knew the streets, knew the hunger in my eyes, the desperation that clawed at my soul. He spoke of a way out, a chance to escape the cold and the hunger. The words hung in the air, thick with promise and peril. A part of me, the part still clinging to the remnants of my dreams, wanted to believe him. Section 6. The Devil's Bargain. Raz's proposition was simple, brutal and tempting. It was the kind of offer that whispered of easy money and whispered even louder of dire consequences. He painted a picture of a world where survival wasn't a daily struggle, where respect was earned through power, not pity. It was a dangerous game, he warned, but the rewards could be great. The allure of quick money was a powerful drug. The thought of a warm meal, a roof over my head, a moment's respite from the relentless cold was almost too much to resist. My mind raced, calculating the risks, weighing the potential rewards against the potential consequences. Could I really bring myself to cross that line, to compromise my morals for a chance at survival? The city, once a symbol of hope, now felt like a predator, its cold embrace tightening around me. I was trapped, backed into a corner with nowhere left to turn. Section 7. A soul laid bare. I looked into Raz's eyes, saw the reflection of my own desperation staring back at me. The city had stripped me bare, revealing a part of myself I never knew existed. It was a side fueled by survival, driven by a primal need to escape the cold, the hunger, the crushing weight of despair. This wasn't the life I had envisioned for myself. But as the snow continued to fall, blanketing the city in a pristine layer of white, I realized that survival often came at a cost. The line between right and wrong, once so clear, had become blurred, obscured by the harsh realities of my situation. Section 8. Between hope and despair. I stood at a crossroads, the weight of my decision pressing down on me. On one path lay the promise of an easier life, a life purchased with a piece of my soul. On the other lay uncertainty, the relentless struggle for survival, the constant fear gnawing at my resolve. Hope, that flickering ember that had sustained me through the darkest nights, threatened to be extinguished by the harsh winds of reality. Could I afford to hold on to my principles when they offered no protection from the elements? Section 9. An uncertain dawn. The first rays of dawn painted the sky in hues of grey and purple, a muted symphony of colour that mirrored my own uncertain future. I took a deep breath, the cold air filling my lungs, a stark reminder of my existence. The decision, I knew, was mine and mine alone. The city, indifferent as ever, offered no answers, only a stark backdrop for my struggle. I turned away from Raz, my heart pounding in my chest, the echo of his offer ringing in my ears. The path ahead was shrouded in mist, the destination unknown. But as I took my first tentative steps, I knew one thing with absolute certainty. I was still alive. And in that moment, amidst the cold and the uncertainty, survival was all that mattered.